This holiday season is definitely a time where we can become very distracted, very preoccupied, sometimes hyper-focused on tasks ahead of us that still need to get done, right? Like we all have those lists that we're working on. We're stressed because maybe Christmas shopping isn't done yet. Maybe you haven't started yet. Okay, did I just stress some of you out? Yeah? You're worried that there isn't enough money to buy presents. Or stressed because all this family's coming over, like maybe the mother-in-law, or the father-in-law, or the sister-in-law, or whatever. They're coming over, and it's causing you to have stress. And there's so many mouths to feed. All these things, along with the problems in our world, right? All the things that if you just look around you, listen to the news, or read the paper, compile and add up. And we can't just ignore them. And over time, they bring us to a place where we just simply can't operate anymore. We're worn out. We're weary. Weary to the point that we lose touch with reality a little bit, or maybe a lot. And out of that place, we say hurtful things. We do hurtful things. We make bad choices. We turn to addictions or entitlement. We have a short fuse, all the while forgetting, or maybe not even knowing, what our souls need to catch up, what our body needs, what our mind needs, what our hearts need to slow down, to reset, to refocus on the beautiful things that Jesus wants us to see and wants us to have. But what we're missing is just taking that time to stop and to sit at Jesus' feet. See, Martha's distraction isn't unlike the distractions that we find ourselves in from time to time. Or maybe we're experiencing those things today. And for Martha in this story, her distracted, over-busy heart leads to 5 things, 5 dysfunctions, all right? And I call them the 5 Ds of dysfunction, and we'll look at these together. The first one is disbelief, okay? Martha asks Jesus, do you not care? She has this disbelief, like thinking no one cares that she's over here drowning in her work. Can't you see I need help, she says? Come on. The second one is defensiveness. Martha defends her place. Okay? She says, my sister has left me to serve alone. She's so defensive and feels she has to justify her busyness to Jesus by not only pointing out that she's busy and making, look at me, I'm doing so many things, but she also wants to make Mary look bad by saying, I'm doing it alone, and Mary's just sitting here. She's dismissive. That's the third one. She depersonalizes Mary as her sister, as though Mary wasn't there. She could have gone to Mary and said, hey, Mary, can you come here for a second? Talk to her and say, can you help me? But Mary's in the room next to Jesus, and she's so frazzled, and she intentionally acts in a way where Mary is put in a really awkward position, right? Like she goes to Jesus and talks about Mary as though she's not there, demanding and dismissing that what Mary's doing isn't important. She's diminishing her. And then the fourth thing is demands, right? That leads us to that. She flat out says to Jesus, tell her to help me. And we become demanding and self-entitled when we're in that state of distraction and hurriedness. Can you relate? We don't think of other people. It's just our needs, our next task that we have to get to, or the thing that's in front of us is front of mind. And since we're the only ones doing anything, well, then everyone else just doesn't care about us, right? That's what Martha is living out here. And the fifth one is desperation. Martha attempts to control the situation. She tries to take control back of the situation and Jesus with her statement. She says, I'm all alone. And when we find ourselves frazzled and hurried and preoccupied and distracted by all these different things that pull us in all these different directions, our souls may be crying out for a little bit of relief or some help. And sometimes this leads us to a desperate cry for help. That last-ditch effort to reclaim control, because that is what we do in desperation. We try to gain back control. We've lost control, and so we try to gain it back by taking control back, and that often looks really, really dysfunctional and chaotic. We have that victim mentality or self-focused mentality that comes out of that. The I'm all alone, the woe is me, look at me, I'm doing so much for everyone and nobody even cares mentality. When we see our loved ones act in this way, I think it's important that we also learn here from Jesus' gracious response to Martha, okay? Because I know for me, if I'm talked to in a way like that, my response isn't always a healthy response either. So there's lots to learn from Jesus and how he responds as well in this story. And he shows Martha a tender heart. And he has that heart for each of us. And he wants each of us to extend his heart, his grace and mercy towards those in our lives who may be finding themselves in these types of situations. He gently helps her to see that Mary's choice to sit at his feet, where she's pausing and resting and listening, is something that Martha could also come and do, right? She likely needs it. She obviously needs it. Taking the time with Jesus to stop and refocus and realign our priorities is what matters. Because in that quiet, in that comforting place, we can clear away all the distractions, all the things that weigh on our hearts, weigh on our minds, and we can let go of the lies that we believe, and we can release the weight of the world's demands, right?